When I made a video all the way back in the summer of 2019, saying that the Vancouver Canucks have signed Micheal Ferland via free agency, there was so much positive energy going on in the comments. Everybody that commented on that video was expressing how much they were into the signing, how much they thought this was going to help out our team, and how excited everybody was in general. And I was excited too. That's why I made the video with such enthusiasm, saying that we got this new guy who can come into our lineup, put up 40, maybe 45 points, and be a total blank disturber out there in the same way that he was against us in the 2015 playoffs. However, a few injuries here and there, and some extended time off later, and it's now the 60% mark of the season, and Micheal Ferland's only played, 14 games? Micheal Ferland this season is at 5 points in 14 games played. He's had a ton of time off via injuries. He's had the worst luck this year when it comes to just not being able to play. And as a guy that the Vancouver Canucks have for a few more years, I want to ask, what do we expect from Micheal Ferland when he comes back? Because if you take a look at how things have gone out for the Vancouver Canucks, from the offseason until the regular season, the guys that they have acquired, JT Miller, he's awesome. Tyler Myers, say what you want about how he's going to be in a few years, but for this season, he's been pretty good. Justin Bailey is a guy that we added onto our lineup. He's tearing things up in Utica. He's a point per game. He's on the roster for the Canucks right now, but as an asset, he has totally been positive. Take a look at Oscar Fantenberg. The guy has been absolutely amazing. He's beaten out the other guy that we got, Jordy Ben, who, in his defense, has been pretty good, but hasn't shown the staying power in comparison to an Oscar Fantenberg as of late. So, out of all these new guys that we have in our organization, it's just Micheal Ferland who hasn't had the best success. And with this tweet right here from Rick Dollywall talking about how we have no word on when Micheal Ferland will go to Utica, but he is working out and skating hard daily, I think it's time to kind of enter that territory where we start acknowledging Ferland as a legit NHL caliber forward that the Vancouver Canucks have in their disposal. Now this comes up because time and time again I always get asked the question, because believe me, I do have friends in real life. It's weird to note, but I do have real life friends. People will always ask me, hey, so do you think the Canucks should go out there, trade for a rental piece, trade for another top six forward, trade for another middle six guy that can come in here and put up some points, do some positive things, and help this team make the playoffs? And it's always been my default answer to kind of think about it for a little bit, kind of process in my mind the different guys, rotate through, Chris Kreider, maybe, Tyler Toffoli, maybe, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of guys out there that are available. But I always end up saying the same thing. The Canucks could indeed go out and trade for a top six forward, but I think we're kind of selling ourselves a little bit short here if we don't acknowledge that we do have one waiting to come back in Micheal Ferland. And that's kind of how I've always seen it. I've always seen Ferland as a guy who, when he did suit up for Vancouver, he wasn't really at his best. He wasn't really at his healthiest. And as time went on and he started getting a little bit more serious in the injury department here and there, it kind of affirmed to my premonition that Ferland wasn't the healthiest starting off the year. So, I've been really happy, personally, to see the long, extended time off that Ferland has been given, because I don't want to see him back in a Canucks uniform until he's 100%. And when he came back last time, I didn't really think he was at 100%. You look at how easily he got banged up afterwards, and how he had to take some time off immediately after returning. So, to me, Ferland is in a position where he's got so much to gain from taking some time off, and he's taken his time off. And now, it's almost time for him to go down to Utica, play some AHL games, maybe 3, 4, 5, or 6, and then eventually come back to the Vancouver Canucks, hopefully as a middle six guy, if not a top six guy. And at that point, we have to start asking ourselves, okay, where does he fit into the lineup? What does he bring? And how is he going to play? Because back when he was initially taken on by the Vancouver Canucks, people said that he would be the first-line solution to Pettersson and Brock. Ferland was a guy who was coming off of 20-goal seasons, a guy coming off of 40 points. And he was a guy that had a really interesting profile in that he was able to get these points while also being really physical, being aggressive and terrorizing the other teams in the same way an Antoine Roussel kind of does. So people thought that this skill set would have been perfect with the Petterssons and the Bessers, but we soon found out after a few games of trying it out that it wasn't really the best. JT Miller was a better fit with Petey. Ferland was much more suited to a different role, but playing with a Bo Horvat wasn't necessarily his forte either. Now, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt. I want to sit here and I want to say that Ferland didn't mesh with Pettersson and Besser. Ferland didn't mesh with Bo Horvat and the like because of those injuries and because of the toll that it takes on a player to play through things that he's trying to hide. And the extended time off, hopefully at least, is giving him the opportunity, and it has given the opportunity, to get those things fixed. So, we will see it when he comes over to the Utica Comets and eventually starts playing over there. But when Micheal Ferland returns to this team, I'm expecting a different player. I'm expecting one who can go out there and score a few points. I'm expecting one who can go out there and be the same aggressive player that he was in Carolina and in Calgary, because we haven't seen that yet. And we got like 2-3 more years of this guy, so why not? I don't want to give up on Micheal Ferland. I don't want to trade for another rental because I think we have a guy right here who can be good enough. And if he does come in here and he isn't good enough and he isn't anything like we thought he would be and he's still the same player he was then at the beginning of the year, then okay, maybe we can trade for a rental then, but I want to try out Ferland first. And I want to make sure that what we have is a player who indeed can play at a top 6 level before we go out there spending some assets for a guy that we probably might not use down the line. I'm not expecting another Miller to come out of Ferland. I'm not expecting a really nice point-per-game ratio once he comes back. I'm expecting a player who fits. Because back when he played for the Vancouver Canucks earlier in the year, he didn't seem like he fit. He was just skating out there in the same way that a Louis Eriksson is known for skating out there. Although I'll give Eriksson the benefit of the doubt too. He's been better as of late. But Ferland was in that weird territory where people were like, yeah, I don't really know what's going on. He's not the same player. So, this is a chance. And I think once he does come back, if he does come back and he plays, I don't know, 30 games, caps off his games played this year at like 45 or whatever. He's got 5 points right now. I would be really happy if Micheal Ferland finished with, I don't know, 20 points? That sound too bad? I don't really know if that sounds too bad. 45 games played, 20 points. That's not that bad, actually. It's just a little bit under his points per game from the previous years, but taking a look at it, that's 15 points in about 30 games if he does come back around that time. So that's probably the benchmark that I'm going to internally set on a Micheal Ferland, and it's not because I believe these are unrealistic expectations or whatever. This is what I can genuinely believe he's going to get. If he does come back healthy, if he does come back as a proper top 6 player like he has been in the past few years, this is how I see it going down. As for where he slots in the lineup, that's an entirely different question. I don't want to break up Bo, Louis, and Tanner Pearson. I don't really know if I want to break up the Miller, Pettersson, Virtanen line or the Miller, Pettersson, Besser line. We'll see what happens eventually, but for now, I'm just looking forward to the future and seeing what Ferland will be able to do, because I think he's capable of some pretty good things. So, hope you enjoyed this video. Social Trust 99, and bye.